I have here that you are the principal investigator and also an assistant professor at the Robert Stemple College of Public Health and Social Work at FIU, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so talk to us. How's that like? What do you do? A lot of our viewers, honestly, can barely even spell PhD. So, like, please break it down for us.
So I'm a cancer researcher.
Okay.
What I do is I have a lab, which means I do cancer research. So
At FIU.
at
Like, that's
FIU.
the location. Okay.
Exactly, at FIU and at the Robert Stemple College of Public Health. So my team and I, what we do is we focus on trying to identify novel drugs, novel cures for childhood cancer.
When you say novel, you mean like common or something?
That's
Go
so
for
when
it.
I say novel, it should take into account all types of drugs. We try to
Okay.
identify novel treatment options for patients, and we also what we do is we repurpose drugs that are already out there, but try to look for specific use for those drugs in, let's say, childhood cancers.
Okay, so how does somebody go about becoming this? How did you get? How do we get here?
It's a long way.
For sure, because PhD, that's above doctor, right?
Well, no, it's a PhD, which means it's a doctor of philosophy,
Okay.
but in biomedical research. So
Okay, that sounds
you
hard.
start off with a bachelor's in a biomedical science, and
Okay.
then you.
Is that what you did?
Yes, so I did that.
Okay.
I did a bachelor's in chemistry. I studied in Lebanon, and then I did my master's in biochemistry and molecular biology from the American University of Beirut.
Okay.
Then I came to the University of Miami in 2007 to do my PhD in cancer research
At the University of
at the
Miami.
University of Miami.
Okay.
And then you do a postdoctoral training for another
That's a
4
lot.
years.
That's a lot. I don't know a lot of people that can make it that far. But
Exactly. So this is, it's specializing in a specific field.
Right. So it's like you're taking something. So when you started school, you started learning something really broad, and we're
And
breaking
then
it down.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Just like, any medical doctor, he's specialized in his field. For us as researchers, what we do is we create our own niche and we specialize in that field.
Among your other colleagues and
Yes.
peers.
So
Okay.
we do training. For example, in my PhD, my training was on a field called cancer stem cells,
Cancer stem cells.
which
okay.
are the ones that are the most aggressive types of cells in cancers that we want to try to get rid
So
of.
I've heard that term, aggressive. Aggressive means that they react more, or could you explain that when you say
Aggressive
aggressive?
means that they are very stubborn to die.
Okay. Okay. So,
those
they're
are
resistant.
they're resistant.
They're resistant.
Exactly. These are resistant cells that we've shown over the past few years that they're the ones responsible for spread from one organ to another in a
Okay.
cancer patient. They're very resistant to standard chemotherapy and radiation.
And that's where your research now falls under
So-
is stem cell
Yes,
research.
my PhD was focused on that. My postdoctoral training was
Okay.
further focused on drug discovery and high throughput drug screening
to
to identify
stem
novel
cell.
drugs that target those really resistant cancer stem cells.
Okay, so stem cells in this case are good or bad?
They're very bad.
They're very
In
okay.
cancer,
Okay.
they're the worst.
Okay, so but see that's interesting because I've been at least in my very minimal high school biology education. I was always taught that STEM was a good thing.
Yes.
So could you explain where this switch is coming from, or
So stem cells are the reservoir of cells in your body that can give rise to new cells.
so kind of like a cell bank, if you would?
Yes, it's exactly
Okay.
like in the skin. If you have an injury in the skin, the stem cells are the ones that regenerate and form new cells in the skin.
Okay.
So they are good in regenerative medicine. But what we found in
Okay.
cancer is that they are the ones that are responsible for the tumor to come back and to regrow,
understood.
since they have the potential to become any cell.
Right, so they could be a bad one, a good one, and you don't know
Exactly.
which one to difference.
So what
Okay.
happened, what we found is that chemotherapy, standard therapies, chemo, radiation, they would kill all the tumor cells, but then spare those stem cells.
Exactly.
So it's like the root of a cancer, root of
Understood.
the tree. So what you need to do is get rid of the root in
Entirely.
order to entirely.
It's not a
and
bad
this is
seed
what
or
we're
bad
trying
apple,
to do
it's
right
about
now.
the
in
entire thing is-
entire thing.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I have here that your study now is in personalized ex vivo drug screening. It's a long name, guys.
I
so-
know, but I'll break it down.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so personalized ex vivo drug screening and is it genomic or genomic?
Genomic
Okay,
profile.
genomic profiling to guide individualized treatments for children with relapsed or refractory solid tumors and leukemias. So let's just go by bit. Personalized ex vivo drug screening.
Perfect. So basically, it is individualized treatments in children with advanced cancers.
Right.
So what we do is that what I do is we do a functional drug testing, which means we take tumor cells from patients like children
Who have tumors and already have these symptoms.
already have advanced cancers, children with advanced cancers. So they've gone through chemo, gone through radiation. They don't have any more alternative options. So what I do is I take fresh tumor samples from these children and I test hundreds of drugs on the individual
Against these samples.
Correct. And the drugs that I test are FDA-approved cancer drugs. There's 220
possibility drugs out there.
FDA-approved drugs that are approved for different cancer types.
Okay.
But not approved maybe in children, because we'll go and talk about a little bit about childhood cancers. They don't have a lot of drugs approved by the FDA.
I might be reaching here, but you know, there's a lot of drugs that can treat a lot of different cancers.
Correct.
So is an issue in cancer the identification of what exactly it is a person has?
Exactly.
So when you say personalized, it's because, you know, everybody has, you know, we're all different. We all come in different sizes and shapes, and we all have a different profile. So cancers like that, you can't, you know, generalize one type of cancer.
Absolutely. It's very important to understand and emphasize that, as we all know, cancer is not one type.
Right.
Cancer is a lot of types, many types of cancers. And what's important is what we find, not only it's not just one type, it's only very standard treatments only affect very small fraction of
Understood.
patients.
So most patients, regardless, have to do some unorthodox means or a different type of procedure,
exactly.
right?
So it's very important that, you know, treatments in children is individualized.